We are back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, February 5th. We've got a lot of college basketball today, especially in the mid-major level, and we're going to go over our 5 best bets for this slate of action today. We've got some matchups in the Big Ten that I'm not going to cover. Maryland versus Ohio State, Penn State versus Michigan. I'm okay on that. We do have a big matchup today in the American Athletic Conference, which we will look at between UAB and Memphis. But of course, again, 5 best bets for today's set of games. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets. Today is the trade deadline in the NBA, and we're going to talk about some things, again, relating to the deadline and the games being played later in the day as well. Also on the channel, our Super Bowl 60 predictions, Seahawks versus Patriots, and on Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC Fight Night Bautista versus Oliveira full card predictions, and our PFL Road to Dubai full card predictions between Usman Nurmagomedov and Alfie Davis in the main event, again, from Dubai, UAE. Yesterday, another positive day. So what is that now? 6 in a row, I think? Another great positive day for us. Positive day, good day. Could have been a lot better. Because, I mean, we were this close to 4-1, and I felt robbed. I felt really robbed with the Catamounts of Western Carolina going on the road to UNCG. If you didn't watch that game, hold on, I'll get into that in a second. Georgetown wins, shout out to them. South Dakota wins, awesome. UW loses to Iowa, so we had that one as well. New Mexico lays an egg at home in the pit. So 3-2 day. We got robbed in the West Carolina game, though. Holy crap, that was really bad, guys. UNC Greensboro is down 2 points with, 20 seconds left. They miss a shot. Justin Neely gets an offensive rebound, and he gets bailed out with the foul call. Whatever. Guys, UNC Greensboro, the final 5 minutes of that game, shot nothing but free throws. Like, every single possession down the court, it was free throws no matter what. Like, the SoCon refs were trying to bail the Spartans out every single possession in that game, late game. So whatever. Final possession, Greensboro takes a horrible shot, horrible possession. Justin Neely gets a rebound with 2 seconds left. Tries to put it back up. Obviously, he's fouled. Okay, hits both of his free throws. That would be free throws number 17 and 18, I believe, for him. Yeah, 17 and 18 free throws for him. Tie game now. Western Carolina chucks the ball to half court. It's kind of a turnover. Justin Neely pushes the Catamounts. Who was it? I think it was Marcus Kell, the leading scorer yesterday for the Catamounts. Neely pushes Marcus Kell on the back, grabs obviously intercepts the inbounds pass, and barely gets touched. And they called a 3-point shot foul on it. I mean, Justin Neely chucks up a full court shot. And by the way, if you wanted to call a foul, it was way before that. They called a shooting foul on a full court shot, and he hits 3 free throws to win the game. He shot 21 free throws. One player shot 21 free throws. Unbelievable stuff. We got robbed. Should have been 4-1, but whatever, 3-2 will suffice. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. We have quite a bit of action early in the American East. I know the American East can be a confusing conference sometimes, but we are going to start the video with back-to-back games in the AM East today, the first of which being in Smithfield, Rhode Island, between the UAlbany Great Danes and the Bryant Bulldogs. I'm going to go with Bryant at home plus 100. Yes, this is a rematch of a matchup earlier in the season between these two teams, and that one, well, it didn't go the right way for Bryant. What can I say about that? It was a 71-46 final in Albany, New York, won by the Great Danes, and it was a competitive first half. 34-41 was the score going into halftime before the Bryant Bulldogs proceeded to score 12 points in the entire second half against the Great Danes. Oh, the Great Danes are 3.5-point favorites going into that game. Obviously, they cover, but it's that second half collapse and the lack of scoring from the Bryant Bulldogs that ultimately loses them that game. They only scored 12 in the second half. You can't win if you play like that. I don't believe the Bulldogs ever had the lead in this game against the Great Danes. Since then, though, both these teams have been just all right. Oh, UAlbany was on a 3-game winning streak, or that was the beginning of UAlbany's 3-game winning streak. They beat Bryant, then they had a win at home against Binghamton, and then a home victory against the Vermont Catamounts. But then they put together 4 straight losses, and 2 of these are on the road at Maine. You lose that game. You lose at UNH to New Hampshire. Home loss to the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and UMBC comes in there and beats you as well. Earlier in the season, they struggled on the road at UMass Lowell. It's a team that hasn't won a road game since they played the CAA's Stony Brook, and I believe that was back in the calendar year of 2025. It was December 17th, 2025, the last time the Great Danes won a road game, and it's the only road game they've won all year long. They failed to go, well, obviously to Marquette, but they failed to go to UMass and win. They didn't go to URI. They lost there. They lost at Siena. They lost at Florida Atlantic. They lost at Columbia, got blown out at Columbia. What I'm trying to get at here is that this is a horrible road team. team. Yes, they've picked up one victory all year long on the road, and that's at Stony Brook. Other than that, the Great Danes have been an awful road team this season. And yes, the first matchup between the Great Danes and the Bulldogs was a victory for UAlbany as they won at 71-46. I understand that game was not competitive. I expect a different result tonight. And the way Bryant's been playing, at home gives me some confidence in this team. They have won 2 out of their last 3 home games after getting blown out at UAlbany. They come back and beat UMBC at home by 5 points, the same Retrievers team that went to UAlbany and won. They then lose at NJIT, but, well, we'll get to the Highlanders in a little bit. That's been a good team this season. They lose at home to Vermont by 10, at Binghamton by 3, but most recently, a 92-84 victory at home against New Hampshire. I understand UNH is not the greatest team, but we'll take that victory for Bryant. Hey, UAlbany went to UNH a couple games ago and lost to the Wildcats. So again, a lot of moving pieces in the AM East. The AM East is one of these conferences where everyone can beat everyone. I mean, UMBC, Vermont, and NJIT currently hold a share of the first place in the AM East currently. Obviously, the American East winner is likely going to be a Dayton, Ohio first 4 team, or if they're lucky, they'll be a 16 with an automatic to go to the NCAA tournament. Again, we shall see. Who knows about that? It's just not a great conference of college basketball this season. The AM East usually isn't the best conference for college basketball. I mean, sometimes they'll get a 16 straight to the tourney. But I'm going to go with Bryant today. I do think they are going to make up, a loss earlier in the year of 46-71. It's just different, though. They're at home, and Bryant has been winning some games recently, and they've been playing better basketball at home. And I think if they just are able to score today, we should be fine. And we look at their last couple outings where they've won 79 points against UMBC, 92 points against UNH. I'll take that because that was the problem against UAlbany. First half, they're competitive. First half, they're matching the Great Danes. Yes, again, they go down by 7 by the end of the first half, but still a somewhat competitive game. Obviously, that game gets into blowout territory once that game touches the second half. Again, the team scored 12 points in the final 20 minutes of the game. If they can just kind of keep up, and I think with them being at home, I think they should be fine. Again, guys, Bryant won the AM East last season. And I know, again, there's not much roster turnover. I don't know if there's any roster turnover on this team because a lot of their guys were senior last year at Bryant, and obviously some of their guys transferred as well. If you remember the Bulldogs, right, won the AM East. They were good in the regular season, 14-2, won the AM East, and ended up playing Michigan State in the first round of the tournament. Obviously lost that one by 25 points, or 35 points, wow. But that's expected. No, 25 points. That's expected, though. Bryant, though, going from being the AM East champion to now what they're doing this year. I know, again, the roster turnover is not the best, but I think they're able to win this basketball game. I'm looking at their results at home compared to UAlbany's results on the road, and it does kind of add up to a Bryant victory here. I know throughout the course of the season, the Great Danes have been a higher scoring team, and that's probably still the truth, but the way Bryant's been playing in the last couple games, yeah, I'm not too I don't want to say I'm not too concerned, but I have enough confidence in Bryant to pick them in the spot. Timofey Rudovitsky, probably butchering that, their freshman out of Moscow, Russia, is their leading scorer this year, averaging 13 points per game, right? True freshman. Last game against UNH, played 33 minutes and scored 23 points. He's going to be their go-to bucket getter. Quincy Allen has been involved throughout the year. He hasn't had any monster games recently because of his injury, but Quincy Allen was averaging 10 points per game before getting injured. I believe, it was the January 8th game against UMass Lowell I saw earlier. So they went without Quincy Allen, but they've gotten other players to make up for that production, especially, again, Rudovitsky being that main scorer for this team, but also Keegan Harvey and Aaron Davis have both made up scoring-wise, as Keegan Harvey's had some pretty big games recently. He's dropped double digits in each of his last 5 games. Same can be said about Aaron Davis. So there's just been an uptick in scoring for this Bryant team recently, and I think they're able to make do against the UAlbany Great Danes in the spot. UAlbany, led by one player, it's their 5'11", I believe, point guard. Yes, 5'11" point guard, Amir Lindsay. He's averaging 17. Some nights he's great, 23 against NJIT, 24 against Vermont. Last game against UMBC, scored 9 points. So he's up and down. I think actually, recently, the more consistent team's actually been the Bryant Bulldogs. They're at home in Rhode Island. Yeah, I'm going to have to favor Bryant to win this basketball game. Expect, by the way, Amir Lindsay's never going to come off the court. He's going to play all 40 minutes, but I still like the Bulldogs at home in the Battle of the Dogs. Bulldogs beat the Great Danes at home. Give me plus 100 home dogs. Home underdogs. I did not mean to make another dog reference. Give me the home under Bulldogs. That's horrible. Bryant wins at home, and enough with this. Bryant plus 100. Okay. We're sticking the AM East. Yeah, we're We're sticking in the American East Conference. For the UMass Lowell Riverhawks, taking on the New Jersey Institute of Technology Highlanders, NJIT. I'm going NJIT, and I'm a little confused. Okay, I'm a little confused why we're getting this as NJIT being favored. Now, the way I see this game, NJIT just throughout the year, just match them up against UMass Lowell, you would think, okay, if the Highlanders can slow this game down and play this game at the pace that they want to play it at, they should be able to win. If they can, if they can get into the 70s in this game, they should beat UMass Lowell. I think that's kind of how this game's going to go. Okay, guys, UMass Lowell's really struggled to score in the last 5 games. They've gotten over 70 points once in their last 5, and it was their last game a victory at home against the Maine Black Bears, who are second to last currently in the American East Conference. So I'm a little shocked by this line, I'm not going to lie, because NJIT has been the better team this season in the AM East, and they're at home. And yet they are only minus 115 in the money line. Usually when there's something like this, yeah, there's something up. But I'm going to trust in the Highlanders, a team that we've watched play a couple times this season, a team that has come through for us and has a guard in Sebastian Robinson out of Montclair, New Jersey. He's averaging 14 points per game, but he's been on a monstrous run recently. Last 5 games, the guy's averaging 20 points per night in 35 minutes for NJIT. I trust the Highlanders enough in the spot. They've been winners in 4 out of their last 5 games, and we talked about earlier that first AM East matchup of the year between the Great Danes and the Bulldogs, and that one was obviously won by UAlbany, but I was willing to kind of, throw that one out a little bit. Again, yes, we referenced it, but okay, game was at UAlbany. This time it's in Rhode Island at home for Bryant. Well, NJIT and UMass Lowell have played earlier in the season. They played in Massachusetts, and yeah, the Highlanders won. They went to UMass, and they won the game 73-64. Now, the Riverhawks got off to a god-awful start as they only scored 17 points in the first half, but it was a game that they really never led in, and NJIT just dominated it from pillar to post. They ended up winning it 73-64, and the entire second half was made up of the Riverhawks trying to come back and trying to make up that margin that they, dug themselves into early in that game. But if you're losing at home by 9 points, and NJIT's done nothing but win since, I don't really know what changes. The Highlanders are 3-1 since that victory against the Riverhawks, and I'm not concerned about their loss being on the road in Baltimore against UMBC. Their wins at home against Bryant, at UAlbany, and a big victory on the road against the Vermont Catamounts. Again, I think Vermont is very fraudulent, and I would say probably the best 2 teams in the conference currently. I'd go UMBC, NJIT, Vermont. I know Vermont's got the best overall record. When I actually sit down and watch the Vermont Catamounts, I am never impressed. And that dates back, obviously, to the game we had, around New Year's, where the Catamounts played like crap. I'm not sold on that team. And I know, again, it's AM East basketball, who really gives? But still, I watch Vermont, and I don't think they're as good as NJIT or UMBC. I think NJIT is an outside shot of winning the conference. It will probably be UMBC from what I have seen, but who knows? Anyways, the Highlanders today, I think they're in a really good spot. Last time they played UMass Lowell, they won the basketball game. They were able to win it by 9 points. UMass Lowell coming off of now losing 4 of 5 games going into this one, and it's a team that, again, we mentioned, is really struggling to score. So they won their last game against Maine. Yes, they scored 91 points. I don't think they're completely fixed, because look at the 4 games they played prior to that, and their big losing streak starts with NJIT. They went into that game against the Highlanders at home off a 3-game winning streak. So they had beaten UAlbany, they went on the road and beat Bryant, and they went to Binghamton and won as well. So they were on a 3-game winning streak in the AM East going into their first matchup against the Highlanders this year, and they lose at home by 9 points. Okay, after that, they welcome in the Catamounts. Vermont goes in there and beats them by 9. UMBC, it's a road trip for UMass Lowell. They go to Maryland. They get blown out, lose by 23 points. And then they go to UNH. They go to New Hampshire, who for quite a while this year is regarded as possibly the worst team in the AM East. Either them or Binghamton. Binghamton's always bad, but UMass Lowell goes over to New Hampshire and loses by 5. And yes, you beat Maine at home by all those points. I really don't care. Just because you score 91 points in one game doesn't automatically make me believe that you're back. And I mean, yes, they were 3-0 at one time in conference play, but they ran into the Highlanders, and ever since they've only won 1 game. I don't buy anything the Riverhawks do. Angel Montez is their leading scorer. He is a junior out of the Dominican Republic, averaging 13 points per game. I believe this is his junior season. Redshirted his first year at Fordham. Played 2 years with the Rams. Last year was at Mercer. Now with the Riverhawks of UMass Lowell. Just put up 30 points in their last game against Maine. Again, it was a high-scoring game on both sides, but ultimately more so in favor of the Riverhawks. They played well. I'm not going to deny that. It's the best game they've played all season long. But again, look at the 4 games prior to beating Maine. You had 64 points against NJIT, 68 against Vermont, 56 on the road at UMBC, and only 61 on the road against New Hampshire. It's a team that has consistently struggled to score, and I'm looking at NJIT. That's kind of the game they want to play. They want to play a slower paced game. They want to break you as the game goes on. And again, it's just going to be, consistent pressure defensively out of the Highlanders, and they're going to break your will on the other side, eventually hitting their three-point shots. I'm perfectly fine with the Highlanders here. I really am. This game to me just sounds like it's built for a Highlanders win. We look at the top of the table in the American East. NJIT 6-2, Vermont 6-2, UMBC 6-2, and then there's UMass. Lowell has the same record now with Vermont, both at 4-4. I like the Highlanders. Again, we talked about Sebastian Robinson a little bit earlier. He's been the best guy by far so far this season, and he's been on a really hot streak recently. David Bolden's played fairly well, though. Last 4 games, he's gotten into the double digits, averaging 12.5, is the true freshman out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then there's Ari Fulton as well. Fulton averaging 11. Sophomore season out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, started pretty much every single game last year for the Highlanders. He returns, and he's played fairly well this year as well. Yeah, I favor NJIT more here. Against, UMass Lowell with Angel Montez. Austin Green's been the leading scorer throughout the course of the year, averaging 14, but, recently it's been a lot more Angel Montez than it has been Green. I got to go with the home team here. We are kicking off the day with 2 American East games, and I know, again, the AM East can be a difficult conference to pick at times, but I'm going to start the day going with 2 AM East games and taking 2 home teams in the American East Conference. I think they're both going to hit. Again, if I want to, if I will say, I believe this one, I'm more confident with this one, but again, like I said earlier, the odds don't entirely make sense. I was expecting NJIT to be at maybe minus 130, minus 135-ish in this spot, but we're only at minus 115 as of now. That's at midnight, so we'll see if those odds change at all, but I'm going to be going with the Highlanders at home winning this matchup, going to 7-2 in the AM East, and going into I guess, I wouldn't be sole possession, but finding themselves back in first place in the American East with a victory at home today against the UMass Lowell Riverhawks. On now to our third best bet of the video, we move to I guess the biggest game of the day for us. We are not covering any of the Big Ten games tomorrow. Big matchup in the Big East, UConn versus St. John's. Really pumped for that one over in the Garden. But this is kind of the biggest game for us today. I mean, I know it's not a big one, but here it is. The Memphis Tigers go on the road to Birmingham, Alabama to take on the UAB Blazers. I'm going to take UAB at home. I'm done relying on the Memphis Tigers. I'm done using the talking point of Memphis, well, they're expected to be good. This is what they've done every single year. Oh, Penny Hardaway and whatnot. They're supposed to be a powerhouse in the American every single year, and that's still the case. They should be. They're just not this season. I've watched Memphis too many times now to realize that they're just not that good in a competitive American conference, and a conference in which it's kind of looking increasingly more likely Tulsa's going to win it. I've had my doubts about the Golden Hurricanes this season, but I mean, they just went to Boca Raton yesterday and beat FAU. So I'm not, I get it, FAU, middling team in the conference right now. If you look at talent, FAU's in the top half, and I would say the top 4 or 5. So I'm more than impressed with Tulsa right now. Are they actually going to win the American? We got to wait till the conference, and there's some dangerous teams. South Florida, Temple can be tough, Wichita, UAB, Memphis still, Charlotte. We'll see. I really feel like the American is anybody's to win at this point still. Again, it is a coin-flipped conference in terms of who's actually going to make the NCAA tournament and win once we get into that conference tourney. Anyways, today we're getting UAB in Memphis. I gotta believe UAB is going to be stoked to play this basketball game at home in Birmingham against Memphis, and regardless of the way the Tigers have played so far this season, they're still Memphis. They're still the team that's supposed to be the best team in the conference, and UAB should be able to get a fairly good crowd out for this game. And I do believe the momentum is on the side of the Blazers in this game. UAB's won back-to-back games. Yes, they lost their last 2 home games, but that was to Tulsa and South Florida, the teams that are currently 1-2 right now in the American Athletic standings. They just went on the road and picked up back-to-back wins. Who are they? Well, UTSAU hasn't won a game, but they did find a way to win by 10 points on the road, and they just went to North Texas and won by 4. Okay, again, you may want to beat the Mean Green by more points than that, but all that matters is that they got the victory, and now they're back at home. Oddly enough, UAB's been a much better road team than at home this season. I gotta think their fortunes are going to change because, again, oddly enough, their last 5 victories and only 5 victories in the American this season are on the road. Isn't that weird? Going to Tampa and beating South Florida by 3 in double overtime. Going to Greenville, North Carolina and beating the ECU Pirates by 2 in overtime. Going to New Orleans and beating Tulane by double digits. And then obviously the wins at San Antonio against UTSA and in North Texas against the Mean Green. They're actually 0-4 at home this year in the American, which again is odd. Wichita losing by 5, FAU losing by 5, Tulsa losing by 22, South Florida losing by 13. Same team they went 2 and beat in double overtime. It's on. Not going to deny that. Their last home victory came on December 21st against UNC Asheville. Hell, earlier in the year, Troy came into UAB and beat them. But again, UAB, early in the season, went to Drake and won. It's confusing, man. Honestly, they've been a very confusing team this season. They did beat High Point at home, so I'll give them credit there. Obviously, we are on the wrong side of that equation because High Point, every single time we pick that team, it feels like they're losing, and yet we'll still find them in the NCAA tournament somehow, some way. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't watch the most Big South basketball, but every time we check up on High Point, first place in the Big South, 21-4. How? I don't know. Anyways, UAB versus Memphis here, guys. I'm done relying on the Memphis Tigers. We talked about the momentum for UAB winning 2 games on the road, returning home, where they got to feel like they have to win one at home eventually. Memphis with an under 500 record right now at 10-11. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games, and albeit at Tulsa, difficult. At Wichita, though, L. Home against FAU, they do blow the Owls out, and then a home game against Tulane and the Green Wave going to Memphis and win. But ultimately, Memphis has been bad on the road this year in the conference. Their only road victory is at Rice, and Rice isn't that great. They have their nights, but I wouldn't, I'm not wowed at all by the Rice Owls, and neither should you. So this has not been a good road team. I understand they're playing a team that's actually been a pretty pitiful home team as well. But again, that's just, I'm not going to say they're due, because that's, again, not the right wording for that. But eventually, you're going to play good basketball at home. Eventually. And it's just weird. You usually say, well, the way you play at home eventually is going to translate how you play on the road. Well, we kind of need the opposite here for Alabama Birmingham, but I got to believe this crowd's going to be going. It's a nationally televised game today. It's the biggest game in college basketball, and I know, again, it's not the biggest set of games, and maybe you want to say, Maryland versus Ohio State's a bigger game. I don't know. This is on ESPN. Memphis versus UAB is in Birmingham on ESPN2 today. I would gotta think that crowd's going, I hope people show up. And I'm taking Alabama Birmingham to win the basketball game. I'm gonna go UAB at home. I'm sick of relying on Memphis. We've seen it too many times this year. They go on the road and they just don't show up. Doug McDaniel still leading them in scoring with 14. Oddly enough, McDaniel's their only double-digit scorer right now, which is something. Obviously, the former Michigan and K-State product. Sincere Parker does average 9.9 points per game, so I'm nitpicking a little bit. But, coming over from St. Louis and McNeese, he's been okay. I'm going UAB, guys. I think this momentum that UAB's built and the fact that they score points, guys, there's a potential Memphis is not able to keep up with this team. Because UAB's going to get out and they're going to get out and get running. We talked about how Memphis has one player averaging more than 10 points per game. UAB's got 5. Chance Westry averages 15. Jacob Meyer averages 14. Daniel Rivera averages 11.5. Kieran Lindsey Martin averages 11.5 as well. And Ahmad Robinson averages 11, even though he hasn't really had big scoring nights recently. And he's, I think, injured, I believe, going into this game, or somewhat, on the bad side of the rotation. Whatever. I still think there are too many options for UAB to lose this basketball game. Again, I'm kind of looking at the point, too. They're at home. You got to win a home game eventually, and how pitiful Memphis has been, especially, going on the road and playing teams. And you got to realize, too, UAB, they smell blood in this spot. Memphis is a middling team in their conference for the first time in quite a while, and for the first time in quite a while, too, UAB should have confidence going into a Memphis game at home. If you're UAB, you legitimately think you should be able to win this game. Last season, they lost to Memphis 3 times, but last time Memphis came into UAB, obviously Memphis, top 25 team in the country last year, it was a 7-point game. It was a competitive game. Then they played again in the tournament. I know Yaxel Lendenberg was on UAB last season, but they played again in the American tournament. In the championship game, Memphis beat UAB again. UAB obviously ended up going to the NIT. They lost in the quarters, I think. Yeah, it was the quarters to UC Irvine. And I understand they don't have a guy named Yaxel Lendenberg anymore, but still, I'm going to go UAB at home to finally get their get back against the Memphis Tigers. Again, I'm done relying on that Memphis team this season. I'm going to go with UAB at home to pick up the win in Birmingham, minus 130. On out to our 4th best bet of the video, we move to the Big West. We are going to finish the day now in the Big West with 2 consecutive matchups in this conference, and the first of which will be the cesspool, UC Riverside, going on the road to Fullerton, California, to Titan Gym to take on the Cal State Fullerton Titans. I think minus 5.5 is pretty easy here on the Titans, in my opinion. I don't think UCR is able to keep up scoring-wise. And I know what you can say, they put up 87 points against Cal Poly. Well, again, game was in the cesspool. Poly wins. We predicted that one pretty easily. But game was in the cesspool, and Poly goes in there and gets the victory, and UCR scores 87 points, and they lose. Again, guys, Poly doesn't play defense, and they don't play defense at all. Fullerton's going to score points on you. And again, if this matters, a common opponent. When Fullerton played Cal Poly, they played at San Luis Obispo, and Cal State Fullerton won the game 93-78. When Poly played UCR, or the cesspool, whatever you want to call them, Poly wins 94-87. Again, I don't want to play common opponents. That's not a great way to analyze games, but it does matter when these games have been so close, when these games have been played so close together. It shows that Fullerton is better than UCR, because if Fullerton is better than Poly, they're better than UCR too. I'm not going to say they're on a whole different level than UCR, well, they kind of are. But my point being, they're going to score a lot of points today. And I understand these two teams have already played this year, and UCR won the game by 9 points. It's a different game at Fullerton, and we are 3 weeks removed from that last game. And I have seen Fullerton somewhat revert back to what I believed Fullerton to be earlier in the season, and that's a high-scoring team that gives you fits and gives you problems. If you are concerned about this being the second matchup between the cesspool and Fullerton, well, we saw the same exact thing where Poly played Fullerton way early in the year. Obviously, Big West play starts very early in the season, and they go to Christmas, and they have your bye games and your tournament games and whatnot. But we saw the first matchup between these two teams in Big West play for Fullerton and Poly back on December 4th. And it was a high-scoring game. It was that game where Peter Bondel made 10 3-pointers. It was absurd. But Poly goes to Fullerton and wins that game. They meet again the next month, or really 6 or 7 weeks after, and Fullerton wins the rematch in San Luis Obispo by 15 points. So I'm not concerned about this being the second time around against UCR, and the fact that UCR has beat them once. Well, one, they had to go to the cesspool. Anyone would be shook going to that cesspool known as UC Riverside. And two, they seem to get better in rematches. Okay? At least for the most part. Let's not talk about the UC Santa Barbara game. That doesn't apply. Okay? That one doesn't apply. I like Cal State Fullerton a lot. I break this game down, and I just don't think UCR can keep up scoring-wise. They were able to kind of keep up against Poly, and obviously different circumstances. We did not need Poly to cover points. Hell, if you had set a line for that game of 5.5, then yes, technically Poly did cover. We just had money line for the Mustangs in that game. They ultimately beat UCR by 7 points. But the rationale, the reasoning that I had going into that game and why I was so confident taking Cal Poly even on the road in the cesspool was just look how both these teams play. Yes, Poly doesn't play the best defense, but they should be able to shoot their way, past UCR, because UCR I just don't think is going to be able to, be able to make enough shots. They might be able to stay in it at spots, but as this game goes on, I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up. Well, that's kind of what happened, right? First half competitive game, UCR is winning most of that first half, but in the second half, Poly pulls away. They start chucking up their 3-pointers, and UCR just can't respond. So this is the first game after, obviously, for Riverside. Fullerton's coming off a loss on the road at UC Santa Barbara against the Gauchos. It is what it is. If Fullerton can just get out and get scoring, they should be fine. I mean, guys, I saw this team outpace and outsprint the Cal Poly Mustangs. If they're able to outsprint that team on the road, they should be able to outsprint UCR at home. They absolutely should. Fullerton just can't take the foot off the gas, and they can't sink down to what Riverside wants to do, and that's play a slow style of game where Riverside can just kind of bleed you out as that game goes on. And the first matchup in the cesspool, UCR wins it 81-72. I think Fullerton's now seen this team once. They're more equipped for this game, and they should be able to play a whole lot better this time around. Again, as long as the scoring gets going. And there's a bunch of guys who can score for Fullerton. Joshua Ward averages 15 points per game. He's been, pretty good this season. Ward coming off of a pretty good game against Poly, scored 18, had 21 against Long Beach State. Again, I know what this team can do if they can get out and start hitting their 3-point shots and just get out and transition, play, obviously, transition defense, get back out and get running. Joshua Ward can score. Jefferson De La Cruz Monteguero, good player too. Obviously, transfer over from Valparaiso, played in Kalamazoo for Western Michigan a couple seasons ago. He's been having a productive year, averaging 13 a game. And then there's Landon Seaman, who, Seaman hasn't made the most impact, but I just wanted to reference our guy here. No, Seaman hasn't put up double digits, or he's only scored double digits once in his last 5 games, and he's been kind of squeezed out the rotation. But again, shout out to Seaman, who averages 12 points per game. He hasn't put up anything recently. Same with Bryce Cofield, who started the year hot, true freshman. He's only averaging only averaging 8 in his last 10 games. averaging 12 in the season. But it's been a lot of Joshua Ward, a lot of Monegaro. They should be okay. Recently, too, who was it? It was KJ Garris last game, their true freshman out of Atlanta, Georgia, randomly exploded for 18 points against UC Santa Barbara. Some in garbage time, sure, but played 14 minutes, scored 18 points. I mean, they might have something there. Against Cal Poly, it was Christian Williams, another freshman for this team, scored 8 points in the UCSB game, but at San Luis Obispo, he randomly exploded for 26. So what I'm trying to get at here is that Fullerton's got guys, and they can hit you from all different angles. I'm looking at UCR. Yes, again, Andrew Henderson's played phenomenal basketball this season, and they've got, Marquis Worthy's been okay. I just don't see any consistency out of UCR. I don't see this being sustainable for 40 minutes, and ultimately that's what happened in the Poly game. They looked great for the first 20 minutes of that game. Poly made a late half comeback to really tighten that gap to close the first 20 minutes of play, but once we got into that second half, Poly made some adjustments. Poly just continued to shoot well, and UCR just couldn't keep up. Andrew Henderson's been really good. He has just dropped 39 in the Poly game. I will give that guy a lot of credit, but his team still lost when he dropped 39 points. And he's been a 17 points per game scorer this year. Other than Henderson, there's really not much else to rave about if you are the cesspool and UC Riverside. So I'm going to go with the home team here in Cal State Fullerton. They should be able to get out and get running in this game, and I do think they probably will blow UCR out of the water here. I'm going to go with the Titans at home. Cal State Fullerton wins and covers the spread as well. C-Suff, do they call them that? Probably not. Cal State Fullerton at home, minus 5.5 points against that cesspool known as UC Riverside. On to our final best bet of the video. Of course, we are sticking in the Big West Conference, and we are going to San Luis Obispo, California, between the Cal Poly Mustangs and the C-Sun or Cal State Northridge Matadors. Taking C-Sun on the road. Okay, you have to play a type of style to be able to beat Cal Poly. Well, okay, I'm talking like this is some elaborate way of playing basketball. You just need to be able to score against a bad defense. And you need to be able to hit wide open shots. As long as you do that against Cal Poly, you'll win. Cal Poly will get teams. Like, they beat UCR. They beat C-Sub. They'll beat those teams, and those are teams that don't hit wide open threes and don't, take advantage of a team that has no interior presence, right? If you're able to score, you will beat Cal Poly. Now, I have watched Cal Poly too many times this season. The games that they win, they play teams that just don't take advantage of wide open looks. And sure, some of that has to do with the fact, Poly's just hot this game, and Cal Poly's hitting every single look that they get, covered or not, blanketed or not. Poly's just finding opportunities. Sure. But as long as you play somewhat competent offense and you have a competent scoring team, which I believe the Matadors do have, they should win this game. They should. We've seen Northridge play their last two games, really good nights, both at home, sure, in Northridge, but 94-78 victory at home against UC Davis. And how about beating UC San Diego? A UC San Diego team that has fallen off quite a lot recently, 3 straight L's. They are now 5-6 in the conference. Yikes. It does look to be a 3-team race at this point between UCI, Hawaii, and UC Santa Barbara, even though I think UCI is much better than the other two, but that's neither here or there. Cal State Northridge coming off of a 81-64 victory at home against the Tritons of UC San Diego. It's a Northridge team that has really put it together as of late, and now I know they're on the road at Cal Poly, and the first time these two teams played, they played at Northridge, and, C-Sun won by 5 points, 95-50. But if they just play that style of game again, they should be okay. Hit your wide open shots, play hard in transition, and don't, and attack the rim when you can. Because the way Poly plays, most of their sets, most of their lineups, and most of their rotations have 4 guards and 1 big. That's how Poly has played for years. They want to get out and run. They want to take as many 3-point shots as physically possible. If Northridge is able just to somewhat match that, and, Poly's going to hit their shots, but the way you beat them is not on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, again, obviously defense is important, and you need to get back, and you need to obviously play a transition defense because Poly is going to push a pace. But ultimately, Poly's going to hit their fair share of crazy shots. How do you bury this team? You get out on the other side and you score too. And that's what we see these piss-poor teams in the Big West not be able to do, and the teams that Poly beats all kind of share the same problems at times. And we can say it now I kind of hesitated all year long with UC San Diego. Fullerton, that's an exception. I know Poly beat Fullerton earlier in the year. That's the one exception. That was a crazy game where, again, Poly will have their nights. Peter Bondel hit 10 3-pointers in that game. But every other game Poly's won this year in the conference. And trust me, I like Poly quite a bit. We take Poly a lot against these piss-poor teams. Like, when Poly plays, give me a random squad. Guys, when Pauly goes to Hawaii, I know I complain about how rigged Hawaii games are sometimes. When Pauly goes to Hawaii, I'm going to take Pauly to cover how many points we're getting on the road, because we're probably going to get like 16 and a half, 14 and a half. I can't wait to take Cal Poly in that game. I know Pauly lost the first time to Hawaii, but like teams that don't score, C-Sub, UC San Diego, Davis, those teams, the teams Pauly's able to beat. And look at their wins so far in the conference. Cesspool, Bakersfield, Davis, UCSD. They beat teams that can't score. Any team that has a somewhat credible scoring, attribute usually beats them. And yes, you can go down the path of playing good defense against them. Like the Beach has beaten Pauly this year, shockingly, right? Pauly went to the Beach and they just couldn't score. LBSU won the game 74-66. But ultimately, the easiest way to beat this team is just get out and start running and hit your shots, and eventually Pauly's going to crumble. They don't really play that well from down 10 plus points, so if you can get on them really early, I think CSUN's going to be okay. I understand the games at San Luis Obispo, not like there's that big of a crowd at games in San Luis Obispo, California, but Northridge is on a run, winning back-to-back games against Davis and UC San Diego after, playing Hawaii, and we know, again, every game in Honolulu is rigged, so why complain about it anymore? Hawaii shoots 40 free throws per game at home every single night, but there are a lot of scores on CSUN, so again, they are more than equipped to win this basketball game, and if they just attack the basket, they will be nasty in this game. They have their fair share of three-point shooting. Well, Larry Hughes makes up for a lot of that three-point shooting. Hughes is a 41% three-point shooter this season, but they also have guys who can attack the basket. Joshua Agaro can get to the basket. Josiah Davis is not the best shooter, but he can go downhill, make plays. Obviously more of a pass-first guy, but he can, score down low. Mahmoud Fofana, averaging 11.5 or 12 points per game. He's been really good recently. How about 22 in back-to-back games against UC San Diego and UC Davis? He is a guy who can score inside too. Again, CSUN's got those type of players, and they are kind of coded to beat Cal Poly. We've seen it before this season. They won the game. Competitive game, don't get me wrong, they won by 5, but I think they should be able to do it again. Poly led by Ahmad Musa averaging 20. Usually their lead scorer, but Caden Ward and Peter Bondel also will have nights. And then how about Jess Isio Isis, their new player from France, their 6'10 shooting guard who just came out of nowhere from the Pro French League. I think he's like 19. Oddly enough, did not play their game against, he played the Fullerton game, then played the Riverside game, did not play the Bakersfield game. I assume he's playing this game, but watch out for him. We remember they had, who was it? It was Troy Plumtree, had a random really good game against C-Sub, scored 31 points in 24 minutes. He scored 6 in his next game against UCR, so it's not a real consistent thing there. But again, watch out for Musa, watch out for Bondel, Ward, and potentially Isio Isis, who's only played 2 games, averaging 13 in those 2 games. And again, he's a dumbed-down version of Victor Wembanyama is what I said immediately, and he kind of is. He's French, kind of like, built like Wemby, but just a 6'10 version of Wemby, and plays the 1/2 guard for Cal Poly. But I still believe CSUN is really equipped to beat this squad. They just need to get out and go, meet this team with the pace that they want to play at, get downhill, find easy looks, find your three-point shot with Larry Hughes, but again, attack the basket against a team that really doesn't, A, play defense, and B, have any interior presence or defense at all. So I'm going to go with CSUN to go on the road to San Luis Obispo and beat Cal Poly. Give me the Northridge Matadors on the road, -130 in San Luis Obispo against the Cal Poly Mustangs. Folks, that'll do it for our college basketball best bets here on February 5th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.